Hey, loan officers and realtors, it's Scott Groves over at Consolidated Coaching. Wanted to let you know about something that's been coming up quite more frequently that's of a concern, quite frankly, and it's where Airbnb can be a curse. So here's the situation. You have a client living in a current house. They've got some equity in the house because of the fact that property values have gone up dramatically over the last couple years. They're departing that residence and they're now moving out of state. They're buying a bigger, better house down the street. Whatever the case is, they're upgrading. Normal course of action is that we would take the departing residence, we would get a rent survey, we would get a lease agreement and deposit check, we would get some type of proof of what the new tenant who's moving into the house that the client is departing will pay. So for example, we have a client departing their residence, we get a lease agreement, we get a check showing that they have a tenant in place for $2,500 a month, and we can now use a portion of that income to qualify for the new purchase on the new house, because it's unlikely that the client would be able to carry both mortgages, both set of taxes, both insurance bills without the rental income on the house that they're leaving. Problem is, a lot of clients are wanting to get into the Airbnb business because they feel like they can make more money renting out the place nightly, but the problem is then we have no proof of tenant. So I'm stuck in a situation right now where the client moved out of their house this year. They came cross country, so their house is back in New York. They came cross country. They've been renting short term here in California. They now want to buy a place. They're trying to qualify for $1 million home purchase here in Los Angeles. They have a house back east that they're renting out on average for about $4,000 a month, a few nights at a time in New York. But the problem is, because they just started that this year, we don't have 1 year of tax filing showing what the rental income and expenses on the house. And we can't use the secondary option of using a lease agreement, a deposit check, and the monthly rent checks to establish what the rent is, because there's variable income. It's on Airbnb. There's no consistency. So if you have a client departing their residence, if you have a client that's moving cross country, make sure that their exit strategy on the property they're keeping is not Airbnb, because if the exit strategy to rent the house part-time, temporarily, night by night, week by week on Airbnb is their strategy, they won't be able to use that income in the first year to qualify for the new purchase. Now, if the tax year has elapsed, and let's say we're having this conversation April, May, June of next year, they have their Schedule E for 2016 is the calendar year in. They have that Schedule E showing, hey, we made X amount of dollars on Airbnb, had X amount of expenses. Then we're fine as long as we have 1 full year of tax returns showing what that history of rental income is. But if they're trying to do it right now, move on to a house, rent out the old house by Airbnb, that's not going to work. You have to have either 1 year taxes with the rental income, or you have to have the standard lease agreement in place. This is just a situation of technology and the share economy that we live in way outpacing by speed the way that underwriters and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac can come up with guidelines. It is what it is. So if you're a listing agent, you're trying to get your client out of a house and into a new house, let them know that the strategy on that departing resident cannot be Airbnb. Scott Groves, talk to you soon. Thanks.